Perl project that I Perl program that I wrote for a class a year ago, and it took me about 4 or 5 hours to build. And it's a password checking program, about 100 lines. I thought it was upload worthy for some people who are trying to get a good handle of loops, the looping structure in Perl, and the array function that I use, which is pushing in the push function for a Perl array, or a list as we call it in Perl. Right here I started declaring the variables. In Perl you don't have to declare the variables, by the way, as I put in the comment here. So I learned some other languages, object oriented languages like C++ and Java before I actually learned Perl. For my clarity, I feel better declaring it before, but just keep in mind you don't have to. It's a dynamic variable language. This is a nice small little program, not too complicated, just pretty much basic Perl. And I start with the main input. Just please enter your password, and there's a variable password, and this is the standard input for Perl. And this chump function, what it does is it takes out any spaces from the input. That way you don't have any compiling errors. And here what I'm doing is putting the password, the value into a list or an array, and I'm putting in the first index, which is index number 0. That way I can keep a track. That way I can capture the different times the user tries to input the password, and I can later on print that out. And the first loop is the first main loop. There's a couple of loops I'll show you in a while, and it takes the password and it checks, as you see there, the exclamation symbol is gonna check whether it doesn't have input. In most programming languages, that's what that means. That means if there's no value for that variable, the variable name that precedes the exclamation symbol, then it's gonna check. It's gonna do a while check on it, and if there is none, then it will print out you did not make an entry. Please enter a password phrase. And of course, it's gonna take the input again, and it's gonna count. It's gonna put it into post increment variable that I'm using here to count to output the many times the user tried. And if you have reached the maximum number of tries, this is gonna exit the program here. It's gonna print the number of tries. And I'll show you when I run it. Here's if the password is present. Here, if is password, and the condition is validated, the password has been entered. You don't see the exclamation point there anymore, so it's good to go. And if the input has been made and it equals the correct password value, which is the variable I declare at the beginning of the program, and the password is, the correct password is grad student 1, sorry, and it's going to say your password has been accepted, and then it's going to exit the program. And if the password is incorrect, it's going to go into another set of trials right here, and if it's going to count if it's less than 4 entries. It's going to control the loop for attempts by the user, and each time it's going to print out that password is incorrect. Please enter the correct password. And if it's still not equal, it's going to push. You're gonna use the push function for the list. It's gonna push that entry for password into the list, so you can see here. And if the password is correct, right here, it's gonna print out your password is correct. You now have access to this program. Your attempted wrong password entries were, that's the attempted numbers, is gonna print the list here. And then it's gonna exit the program. Of course, you don't want it to continue after that. This is if you haven't attempted too many tries, the account is now locked. The password attempted times was it's gonna print out the number right there. Actually, the actual entries that you made, and I'll show you when I run the program in a second. And then it's the second main loop. If an entry has made, it's gonna check again if the password is correct, because you have to remember there's so many different validations that you're doing that you have to create two different main loops. This one is gonna check again, and that's about it. I'm gonna show you this program, how it's gonna run in just a second. I'll give you a good look at the program, top to bottom here. You can pause it and type it later if you want.